Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do a review of one of the most famous perfumes of all time, Chanel No. 5 by, of course, Chanel. So I have a sample of it here, and I've also been out and sprayed this on my skin. It's not a perfume that I own myself, but I'm very familiar with it and have smelled it many times. Chanel No. 5 is probably most famous for the Marilyn Monroe quote that said that all she wears in bed is Chanel No. 5. I don't think she was paid to say that, and I don't think she was like endorsing the brand. I think that was just a spontaneous comment that she said. Chanel No. 5's actually had quite a few reincarnations over the years. It hasn't been the exact same fragrance from the beginning. So the Chanel No. 5 that we know today was actually created in 1986 as a interpretation of the original Chanel perfume that was made in the 20s. So it isn't actually as old as you think it is, and the fragrance that Marilyn Monroe was spraying and using is no longer available. So actually, when we wear Chanel No. 5 now, we're not smelling the same as Marilyn Monroe did, unfortunately. So the note that hits you the most is an aldehyde type smell with lily of the valley and sort of kind of like a floral fragrance underneath, but the overall feeling is of more of a powdery fragrance than a floral fragrance. The other key notes that come out are I can never say this, ylang ylang and iris. So this is not the notes in this are not typical of a modern perfume. I think this is very typical of something created in the 80s, and things it's similar to would be Chanel Coco and also the Shalimar perfume by Guerlain, which isn't a very famous one. I'm sure not that many people recognise it. So who would this fragrance be good for? So I think it's definitely a very classic smell. It's not modern, and I don't think it's a particularly young smell either, which is probably why they brought out, I think it's the No. 5 Eau Tendre and Eau de Toilette versions of No. 5 to try and appeal to a younger market. But I think Chanel No. 5 is probably one of those things that people make their favourite, they wear consistently for years and years and years, and they keep buying it. It's not the best seller from Chanel by a long way. It probably just is the most famous because of that Marilyn Monroe quote and because it's been around for so long. If you are buying a gift for someone, I think you'd be safer to go with Coco Mademoiselle or Chance. I'll leave a link to my review of Coco Mademoiselle, so you can check that out, because I think that would be much safer and is liked by more people. I think No. 5 is for someone who likes those powdery, ylang ylang, iris, lily of the valley type fragrances. It's not sweet or fruity, so you have to be quite careful with it, and I think it's one of those things that you either love or hate. It's quite a dividing perfume, but of course the bottle's beautiful, the branding's beautiful, and it's a classic famous perfume, so it's always going to have that. But I would definitely recommend going out smelling it at your local store, because it's very difficult to describe, and I think you have to smell it to understand it. But it does, when you smell it, it does kind of hark back to a different time, and you do think of that classic 1950s, 1960s Hollywood Marilyn Monroe, even though it wasn't what she was wearing. So if you found this review helpful, let me know in the comments, give the video a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.